geared around presenting the results of kind of the phase 1 diligence, as well as to introduce the phase 1 master plan process. I want to be clear, there's no plan that has been developed by the university. That process starts today. So if anybody, I know there's a lot of kind of miscommunication as far as what us and the university have done, but that planning process is going to start today, and that process is going to involve a lot of the input from you guys in the community, as well as internal Howard community stakeholders. And so what we'll do is I'll talk a little bit again. I'll recap, for those that aren't familiar with us, I'll recap our team, a little bit about us. I'll have my colleague, Chris Love, who's an additional project manager overseeing from ZOM. We'll talk a little bit about ZOM as well. Then we'll go into just talking about the site. What is the site? Just nothing having to do with what's going to go there, but what is the site? Just everybody kind of level setting as far as what the site is. Then we'll talk about the project. We've really been spending the last year or so really thinking through what are the goals of the university, and what does the university like to accomplish via this redevelopment effort. And so we'll present to you guys how we're looking at the world from the standpoint of what the university seeks to accomplish on the site. We'll talk about what's happened to date. Naturally, the School of Divinity temporarily relocating back in 2015. There's a lot that's happened between, I guess, depending on how you interpret it, but some things have happened between then and now. We want to catch everybody up to make sure we're all kind of on the same playing field as far as what exactly has happened on the site. We'll talk about what we've been really doing, spending the last 6 months doing, which is just straight site due diligence. We'll shed some light to the tires that we've been kicking over the last 6 months, and really kind of laying the foundation for what we deem as phase 2 of this process, being the actual master plan process. And then we'll talk about phase 2. What exactly are we looking to accomplish in the next 6 months, right? From the standpoint of the reimagination of the site and the master plan of the site, and some of the steps in that process. Naturally, what everybody I'm sure is very interested in is how the community is going to be engaged. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll wrap up with some Q&A. How's that sound? Good. Awesome. Okay, so team. So let's start, I guess, from the very beginning, and we'll talk about a little bit kind of how we got involved. So FLGA ZOM is a joint venture partnership between FLGA Real Estate Group and ZOM Living. We'll talk about both of those firms in a second. But in November of 2017, we were selected by Howard University to oversee the reimagination of the master plan of the actual redevelopment of the actual site. From Howard's standpoint, the development team consists of Tony Freeman, who we have here, who is the AVP of Real Estate Development and Capital Asset Management. We also have Derek Williams, who is here as well, who's Executive Director for Campus Planning, Architecture, and Development. And last but not least, naturally from the Howard team, we have David Bennett, who is the Director of Howard University Community Association. Probably has maybe the most depth of knowledge about this site and the community over these years. So we're very happy to have her. And so this is kind of the collective team from Howard's standpoint that's overseeing this process. And us, FLGA ZOM, and myself, I'm a principal with FLGA Real Estate Group. Also fortunate to have my father, Fred Green, who's the founder and CEO of FLGA, former Director of Planning in Washington, D.C. for almost 10 years. Very married. We have Andy Krutall from ZOM Living, as well as Chris Love from ZOM Living. ZOM naturally being one of the foremost authorities in the housing space in the entire nation. So naturally we're a team that very excited to be working with the community. One of the things I always say is, it's funny, I'm as much as we're doing this work in the community, I'm of the soil. I've had a chance to talk to a couple of members of the community, but I'm from here. I was born and raised 1821 Shepherd Street, which is literally right across the street from the site. So I'm not a guy that's hopping in and hopping out. And this is just one of the many projects that I'm working on. So this is home, and I find it to be a very great opportunity to have a chance to put my fingerprint on the neighborhood and kind of help raise me. I went to Bunker Hill Elementary, right across the street from the site. My mom taught at Taft, and so this is home. And us as a firm, we take pride in being able to work on very few projects that we can actually sink ourselves into. And this is going to be no different. You're not going to be seeing anyone except myself or one of the other individuals that you see up here out in the community working with you guys. So I personally look forward to working with everyone over this period of time. So let me just talk a little about FLGA. And so FLGA were founded in 1995. My father's director of planning in multiple capacities. Been involved in about 2 million square feet of development across the District of Columbia. We wanted to co-develop the Gallery Place down in 7th and H. I myself, I spent a number of years at JPG companies, development management capacity. And right now, we have approximately 350,000 square feet of active development in our pipeline for the year in Baltimore. But again, we're a boutique firm. We're not a huge production shop. We're not someone that is just here to come and try to make $1. We're here to really immerse ourselves in the communities in which we work and to actually make the right change that help kind of rise the top of the entire community. That's one thing that I will say that I can promise you to one of the pillars of redevelopment will be about kind of rising that tide. Don Living, again, one of the foremost stories in the housing space across the entire nation. We've developed over close to 18,000 units of housing across the nation. So when they talk about authorities of development, housing, diverse housing, we're very happy to be partnered with them in thinking through this really kind of complex project. And so that's just enough. That's a little bit about the development team. But one of the groups that are going to be interacting with you guys the most, especially when it comes to master planning, is the architect, right? Who's going to be overseeing kind of the site imagination? Right? Who's going to be helping to pull together the input of all the various important stakeholders? We specifically wanted to go and work with a firm that had a lot of experience specifically in the master planning space. And so there's probably no better firm in this region than Design Collective from the standpoint of master planning in this community. So Design Collective, they're one of the foremost authorities in master planning, design, production, architecture. We have Nico as well, who's here, from Design Collective, who's certainly the project manager. We'll talk about the historic nature of the site. EHT Tracers is our historic consultant, actually in tandem with R&D. We have Sarah Varnish as well from EHT, who's going to be working with us as we think through how to address the historic aspects of the site. The group that you guys would probably be maybe interacting a lot with is Robinson Associates. So Sharon Goods, who will be handling all of our kind of community engagement, public relations, and so anything having to do with the project, anything news-wise around the project, and she and her firm are the joint purpose. We're very happy to have them. So we have Holland Knight. We have Lila Batiste as well from Holland Knight, who is serving as our zoning counsel. Actually, it's an extremely complex site plan. And so Holland Knight is probably the premier firm here in the district as it pertains to that. And we've already talked about R&D. So this is the team that's going to be working with you guys over the next 6 months as we try to advance this master plan effort on behalf of the university. Okay, so let's talk about the site. So let's just level set the table. What is the site? Okay. So the site is a 23-acre site. It's about 3/4 of a mile from Brookland Metro. More importantly, everybody knows that until 2015, the site was home to the Howard School of Divinity as far as the majority of their active uses. Howard School of Divinity temporarily moved to their west campus, and currently on the site, it's primarily used for research and archives standpoint. A lot of art artifacts, library, a lot of that stuff is still housed on the site from an active use standpoint. As I mentioned, the School of Divinity actually had academic facilities, right? It had administrative offices, right? It had dormitory, student housing. Right? And one of the pillars of this redevelopment is the actual return of the Howard School of Divinity. We'll talk about that, in addition to the School of Social Work. And there are 3 existing structures that we were thinking about what's on the site. Right? The site doesn't necessarily have, there's no displacement. There aren't people living on the site, right? But the site does have 3 structures, right? One is the Maze Hall, which is approximately 100,000 square foot building, probably the centerpiece gem of the site that everybody sees. There's a Sherwood farmhouse in the back, as well as there's a garage in the back. We'll talk about those existing structures and how they necessarily kind of fit into the overall kind of plan. So you'll see see the area on the left. You'll see kind of the driveway to Mays Hall for anyone that hasn't driven on the site recently. So here's just a couple of existing conditions. And I think the important thing to note, on the site, a lot of people were kind of unclear about what is the actual, fundamental integrity of the site. The site, for all intents and purposes, is a huge deal. Sometimes the brush rises, and actually the university, from time to time, engages in a maintenance program to reduce that brush, but it's a field. There's a significant amount of tree coverage on the perimeter of the site, some of those being hair trees. We'll talk about that in a second. But it's a pretty open and wide field. Here's a view from the top of Mays Hall. You can see kind of how open and wide it is. Similar condition as well from the west side. So this is the eastern side of the site, and that far one being kind of the western side of the site with the main driveway. And then we talk about the three existing buildings. We have Mays Hall, we have the Sherwood Farmhouse, and then we have the garage. And we'll talk a little bit about the historic application that has been submitted by TCPO in regard to these two. So now let's talk about the project. Okay, so everybody's on the same page as far as, okay, what do you got, right? You have this big 23-acre site, it's in the middle of the neighborhood, right? Let's talk about what the university is seeking to do, the goals of the university in this actual redevelopment. Because that's going to kind of frame, as we think about future uses, it's really going to be kind of rooted in some of the university's both long-term programmatic and financial goals. So, again, most know the history of Howard University. Howard University, being around since 1867, is one of the beacon institutions of the District of Columbia. It has produced some of the greatest talents in all industries across the world. It involves 13 schools and colleges, and they pursue over 120 areas, both undergraduate, graduate, and professional. Right. So, as any university, they have to not only think about kind of short-term planning, they have to think about long-term viability and planning, right? Both programmatic and remaining competitive with other peer colleges and universities, but also economic, right? As a private university, right? They have to put themselves in a position not just to be relevant today, but to be relevant for generations to come. And I think it's important to note that because really the university seeks to leverage this asset to help advance those two pillars, right? So naturally, with the redevelopment, they want to leverage this redevelopment to help fund the execution of this long-term kind of planning vision, right? Again, remaining competitive with other colleges and universities, right? Putting the university in a position to actually grow, not to be capped from the standpoint of its growth. Again, this will be effectively its third campus. And so it is an extremely, extremely important undertaking for the university, both programmatic as well as a financial standpoint. So some of the high-level ideas the university seeks to do is really turn this into a lifelong live and learn community, right? Rooted by the existence of the school advantage in the back, as well as bringing the school's social goal, right? Those being anchors to the redevelopment. And then around those two anchors, really thinking through a thoughtful lifelong live and learn community that can help rise the tide for women. Okay? And so, as you see here, naturally want to facilitate an environment that is promoting both education as well as kind of 360-degree lifelong live and learn and rooted by the Howard School of Divinity as well as the Howard School of Social Work. So what are the kind of four pillars, right? So there's four pillars that are really going to guide this reimagination. When the university thinks about, well, what are the things that it wants to adopt in this future development plan, they're really going to have to be responsive largely belongs to existing students, right? And also thinking about creative ways in which you can leverage institutional uses that are on the site, school of divinity, as well as the school of social work, to be an amenity for those alum, as well as the surrounding community. So lifelong live and learn community, which will also involve the first selection of housing, right? The second pillar is inclusion and capacity. As everybody knows, this is probably going to be a very large undertaking, right? And one of the things that Howard seeks to do is to leverage this asset to promote not only inclusion from the standpoint of Howard University alums in the actual redevelopment, but also leverage it as an opportunity to teach its base, right? We have a huge real estate development project, right? There's a big opportunity there to do apprenticeship training, not just for university stakeholders, but also community stakeholders. So again, we want this to be something that has the opportunity to rise the tide for everyone, right? Naturally, there's a high barrier to entry to real estate development for minority populations, and Howard is interested in maybe leveraging this as an interesting case study being on the forefront of an asset or asset redevelopment that really benefits everyone. As I mentioned, financial revenue, right? So in thinking through its 2011 Central Campus Plan, one of the primary goals was to think about leveraging some of its secondary and tertiary assets, right, to help support its long-term viability and balance sheet as an actual university. So naturally, the university is seeking to do a redevelopment plan that not only checks its programmatic goals, right, but also checks its financial goals, right? Again, universities thinking about long-term growth, thinking about current viability, credit rating, right? So the university is very keen about thinking about this redevelopment being something that's responsible for that, and redeveloping it into something that yields maximum value, but also checks its business plan goals. And then last but certainly not least, transparency and connectivity. There's a bunch of different firms that the university could have selected for this site, right? One thing that I can tell you about the FLGA design team is we're a very, very transparent group. We're not a pop-in and pop-out developer. I'm sure Commissioner Higgins can tell you, I don't know how many times she's seen me at these community meetings and I didn't have a single thing to say. Because it's important that we're going to be here. We're not going to be here for a year. We're not going to be here for 2 years. Again, we're looking to create a lifelong live, learn community. We're going to have to be good neighbors, right? So connectivity, right? Thinking through creative ways in which the project can really rise the tide for everyone. That's going to be important to us. And we'll talk about our shredding schedule and how we see the community engaging in this reimagination process. It's going to be important that we again deliver something that helps check not only the internal stakeholder process, but the external stakeholder process. So those are the 4 pillars, right? The things that we know that the Howard School of Divinity, the School of Social Work are coming. The rest of the site is really meant to be redeveloped, led by those 4 pillars. So let's talk about what's happening, okay? So let's start, I guess, 2015. Right? We talked about the Howard School of Divinity temporarily moves to the West Campus. Right? In 2016, as a lot of people are aware, the university had an opportunity to have to leverage the resource of ULI to do just a high-level conceptual study of the site, an academic study. Generally what's possible. Not even saying, hey, this is something that we're going to build off this study. There's a lot more that goes into it. Right? We have a bunch of industry authorities who kind of help us begin to think about the possibility of the site. Right? So the university engaged in this ULI study, and a lot of that ULI study helped to frame some of the goals the university set out for this redevelopment plan. In 2017, they went through a formal solicitation process with the result of the selection of our team, the FLGA design team, for the master plan, the original master plan. In the summer of 2018, we actually began site diligence, which is what we're really here to talk about, kind of phase 1 that we've been doing. Right, so starting in the middle of last year, we've just been kicking tires. Some people may have seen trucks or stuff going on. One thing I can promise you, there ain't no construction going on. Right? We gotta kick tires. Right? The only way in which we can be effective in the master plan and actually developing a plan, right, that's viable, both financially as well as generally physically, is we gotta know exactly what we got. It's no different than driving a car. We gotta check the oil, check the carburetor. So that's what we've been doing for the last 6 months. Right? We'll talk about some of those activities. And And really today, 2019, January 2019, is start of phase 2. That is the actual planning process, reimagination, right? Working with the community, right? External stakeholders, working with internal power stakeholders. Right? Beginning to think about what can actually be put on this site based on all the information that we received today. So there's kind of 10 steps in this process. I think the first time I presented last year, I said there's, we're at time 0, right? So if there's 10 points in that time period, we were at time 0 a year ago, guess what? We're at like time 1 right now. I'm sorry to tell you, right? Now we're going to start that process, right? And it's going to go pretty quickly. All right. So let's talk about phase 1 due diligence. So I'm going to allow my partner, Chris Love, to come up and talk about some of the phase 1 activities that we've been going through. Again, started middle of last year, 2018, really doing and kicking the tires, right? Engaging in one study, understanding the site integrity, allow Chris to say a couple words about, that process, and sure, some of the things we found out that kind of guide some future developments.
Real quick, will these be available online, these slides?
Yes, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the website in a second, but reports and stuff will be online. We'll talk about the website.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. So, echo what Brett said, we're really a this process. There's a long time coming for everyone in this room, and we're excited to get started. So, as Fred was saying, phase 1 over the last year really started as January lining up consultants. Scope in and out, we worked as a consultant for the university, trying to help them better understand their exchange property, what's there today, what constraints may exist to doing a future development or repositioning. So the first thing we started with is a simple desktop title survey. So we went back to through the chain of title, courthouse downtown, and we found out who the original owners were, when the property was parceled, and we had that put on an actual Alpha survey. So it was mapped out. We know where the property boundaries are. We know where certain encumbrances are on the property. Where roads have been platted in the past, since abandoned, where there's talk of roads going in the future, things of that nature. So that gave us a really firm box, if you will, a two-dimensional box. In addition to that, we had a topographical survey. So as most of you may know, I know that a lot of people in the community walk the property from time to time. There's a fair amount of topographical change from north to south, roughly 40 feet in some instances. So that's material, and that will impact what is done on the property. In addition to topographical survey, we had a civil engineer go look at utilities, so water service, gas service, electrical service in the site, as well as the transportation infrastructure in the area. So this wasn't a traffic study, if you will. We're just documenting what the transportation infrastructure is, those roads, things of that nature. We had an environmental consultant come out. They performed phase 1, phase 2 environmental studies. So the phase 1 environmental study is really just a drive-by. Someone is taking a visual look at the property and noting potential conditions, threats to environmental conditions that may exist. Phase 2 study was recommended after phase 1. That's a more in-depth, invasive environmental study. We had a hazmat study done inside the buildings where they tested for things like lead-based paint, asbestos-containing materials, which, as we all know, when Mays Hall was constructed, those materials were very common throughout the United States. Finally, we had a geotechnical engineering report done on site. That's when the drilling rigs were out there. So, many community members noticed that last May, there were rigs on the site that were drilling borings. And what they do there is they just try to understand the soil profiles, which is like bedrock and future development. We had Holland and Knight perform a zoning analysis. It's a document we made available as well. So that just talks of the site's past zoning, present zoning, and uses allowed in that zoning. And then there's a historic assessment of by traceries. So they looked at Mays Hall and the Sherwood Farmhouse, looked at them in the context of what the site was 100 years ago, what it is today, and what it would be in the future. And one that I missed was the heritage tree survey, which I know is of interest to a lot of people. So there are 23 heritage trees across the 20-acre site. Most of them are in periphery, but we have them mapped. There we go. So this is the topographical survey. So as you can see, where these lines get closer together, that's obviously where the grade changes more drastically. So there's a decent amount of change, but where there's fewer lines in the back, that's the fields Brett alluded to earlier. So the bulk of the site is just a large field with minimal change, but there's significant change across the site. And this is the heritage tree survey. So this, several residents noticed this as well. But the trees on the property were marked early fall. So you go around and measure them and try to get what the circumference is. So those have all been marked and the shape is still on this one. But we have
Excuse me, what's the definition of a heritage tree?
It's a circumference of 100 inch,
100 inches.
so it's larger urban trees.
Circumference of 100?
It's a circumference of 100 inches.
All right, this is,
Basically, think trees that you have to go through a different process from the standpoint. You can't just fall.
oh, yeah, all right.
It's just a higher penalty.
Higher penalty.
So the heritage tree has to, by law, and the city has to stay.
Not necessarily by law. I think again, when we're talking about higher penalties, but naturally, depending on your site plan, certain trees could be maneuvered. You have to basically allow more care. You can't just assume that you're going to knock them over to get you to do it. So a lot of times you'll see the projects in certain negotiation with the city from the standpoint of where certain trees, which trees can and can't go.
As a form of protection, I guess, that's
Correct.
the sense I'm getting.
Yep. Absolutely.
And they have to, if they're deemed to be healthy, then that's when the rule applies. If they're hazardous or unhealthy trees, then normally they can be taken down.
Go ahead, sir.
The trees were marked, why
They
they
are.
were marked.
They have been marked. So if you go on the site, you'll see multicolored wraps around those trees. If you ever drive by the site, those are the identified heritage trees that would corroborate that map.
But Fred, Mr. Holland, know why.
Why would they wrap? Oh, again, so this is all about surveying. So again, we wanted to know what the heritage trees are to kind of help guide some of our design constraints and programmatic constraints. Because again, it's site plan. So again, understanding that those trees, there's no default idea that those trees can be eliminated. So you have to identify them to know kind of where, what are your bumpers that you're kind of working. Does that make sense? Or does that answer your question, right?
In other words, you're not marking those trees for possible cutting down.
No, they're just marked to identify them as heritage trees.
Where they are.
Anyone with to the end,
Yeah.
just as well.
Sure. There we go.
The trees were marked with different colors.
Yep.
Is there a difference, or is that just the date the surveyor had that day?
They came out a few days,
Yeah.
so there's no significance. Okay.
And I assume they surveyed the other existing trees that weren't heritage trees, right? So that was the end of the survey?
Yeah, so the heritage trees were the ones that were marked. The other important thing to note is that a lot of people, there are some trees that are outside of the bounds of the private property or in public space as well that may not be marked. And there is
A heritage tree, but but I assume they were picked up on the survey.
Yeah, on survey, on actual
So-
survey. They don't say on the heritage tree survey specifically,
Yeah.
it's just the heritage.
One other item that we picked up during the diligence that we wanted to just briefly talk about was in the phase 1 and phase 2 studies, we did encounter some recognized environmental conditions. So in the vicinity of the maintenance shed, we found oil stains on the surface. Subsequent investigation found that there were some USDs underground storage tanks in that area. So that's something that we're working through right now with the university, what the next steps will be there.
So, again, Chris mentioned, significant kind of topographical considerations for the site that we'll have to be thinking about. We're thinking about site planning, and communities will have to also think about. And we talked about the heritage trees. Just to give you a count, there are 23 heritage trees on the site. And in large part, they are on the perimeter of the site. So just to give you a little bit of perspective as far as what we're working with.
You know how many trees there are total?
Not off the top of my head. Yep.
Heritage trees are
23.
While we're talking about trees, is one of the project goals, in addition to the heritage trees, just to consider trying to protect as much of the tree canopy regardless?
Yeah, so we have not, as far as project goal standpoint, we have not gotten that perspective. Again, we're really leveraging this process, working with the community. That's part of this next step, right? So we have goals from the standpoint of the university. We haven't gotten that granular from the standpoint of project planning. To me, that's a project planning goal, and that process starts today.
On the historical, this is a landmark, so this is an Art Deco, and you have the San Francisco. Have you talked to the Kostos Patton, the head of the thing? I just came back from Israel and stuff. So this is all historic, Art Deco, and everything else. Have you got clearance and put it as landmark
There
historic?
is an application that DCPL has put in
Yeah.
for the site from a storage standpoint. That's part of this next phase as well. Right, so we understand there is an application. Naturally, there's going to be certain things to be triggered once we figure out exactly what we want to accomplish on site. Right, at that point in time, yes, we'll be working with.
And you'll need congressional approval because this is a federal landmark also, correct?
This site is a federal.
Yeah, I mean, it should be because you know how DC works. I mean, you know, anything here, so it becomes federal, and also any kind of approval from BCA has to get federal, which means also congressional and federal courts.
If you want me to clarify, there's a pending landmark nomination that was prepared by the DC Preservation League. So it's not a landmark yet. So when DC designates a building, they forward it to the National Register, but there's no federal regulation that's put on the property after it's listed.
So we can go to National Register, it should be on the National Registry already.
We forwarded it to the National Register after the DC review process. That's the process, but
Are you talking about the building or the site?
Both.
Yeah, so as of right now, the DCPL application includes not only the building, but a large part of the eastern portion of the site, so the field.
So the farmhouse is part of it?
so
Yeah.
the landmark nomination is for the Maze Hall and the Sherwood Farmhouse.
As of right now, yep. But again, this is an application, this is a pending application, so there hasn't been any action taken.
And as of right now, you all at Howard University are in support of that pending application.
We are in support generally of leveraging the building, absolutely. So one of the things that we want to do in this process is think about all the site planning and how a designation might impact the overall site plan. And then we would want to work directly with DCPL on an actual implementation once we figure out exactly what we're doing.
Okay, but you said the building, you didn't say the Sherwood Farmhouse, and you didn't say the portion of the grounds that are also part of that pending application. So are you suggesting you're reserving judgment on those pieces?
Yes. We haven't even started the planning process. So I think it would not be prudent to determine the historic strategy until we actually figure out what exactly we'd like to happen.
Just for the record,
Yep.
that's different than what we've been told in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. When you say, what did you
Which
mention?
was that, everybody's been fully aware that that application was submitted by, Preservation League.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you all have stated that you support the application.
That's right.
So
But
now you're saying something
Mhm.
different.
No.
No. What I'm suggesting is we support the application. We have not gone through a planning process to understand the metes and bounds of that application. That's what I'm saying.
I think that's different.
No.
We don't know what that means. No, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, this is where you guys come in and kind of help us think through
seems to leave open where you're gonna come out on Sherwood Court Farmhouse and the grounds.
Yeah.
And maybe even the main hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would like to go through that comprehensive.
Okay. So hi, I'm Tony Freeman. I have real estate housing. To answer the question, a couple of things. To rewind a couple of years ago, there was a lot of rumors out there about how Howard had sold the property or was going to tear down Mays Hall. So what we do believe is, first of all, Mays Hall, we will celebrate and reposition and bring back the Divinity School to that building in some new format formation. So one, Mays Hall in its current configuration, we would like to respect and protect the historicity of that building. Now, may there be improvements to the building or whatnot? Maybe, but in terms of tearing down Mays Hall, no. We want to celebrate that building and bring it back to its former great height. Hopefully housing a portion of the Divinity School. The Sherwood home, we had partnered with the family of the architect. And the owner. We believe that we're going to celebrate that as well. So we do see now. Fair comment is it is in challenging condition. If you're in the blue card, it might fall over. Okay? But we believe in celebrating that building. We want to work with the owner, the architect, to see how we either handle it on site or find other locations for it or whatnot on within the context in support of the family. So we do believe that if it works, we'd like to see it on site. Maybe not the same location. If it stays on site, it will need to be repurposed, refinished, and whatnot. But in terms of the historicity of it, we will celebrate that building. Those are, hopefully I answered two questions. Now, as it relates to the grounds around those buildings, now I'm not sure what's been presented in the past, but we want to do a couple of things. We want to make sure that there's appropriate view corridors, that we'll work with the Preservation League and HBO and all of the relative regulatory agencies. However, where I think where Fred's going, the boundaries, the size of that lot was much more significant than we think that will make a viable business plan around development. So I think where we're working with the Preservation League, the community, HPL, and others, is just where that land lies, where the view corridors are from northeast, south, west, and then figure out what is remaining so we can keep the historicity of the building protected, but also have enough development envelope so that we can develop a plan that we all come with. So pause there for a second. So I'm not sure how it's been presented in the past, but from the university's perspective, and I think like what Dr. Frederick said right here, he would support that notion of what we just talked about. Any questions around that? I'm going to make sure that we clear any issues right now. Yes.
Quick question on view corridors. Can you define that or help me understand what that means?
So I'm going to talk to our expert for a second.
Sure. So I guess part of the next phase of work will include a more in-depth assessment of the site history and those features and characteristics that are important to its history, I guess. So one part of that process will be identifying, you have the view right now going down the driveway and seeing the building from the 17th Street. 14th Street, right. So that's something that we want to be mindful when redeveloping the site, not to block that view. So those are the things we'll be looking at.
So to me, those are part and parcel of retaining the historicity of the building. How do we make sure it has view from various angles to support that? So again, we will look in terms of planning different options and whatnot to make sure that it's maximized. We haven't gotten there. We don't know which way that looks depending on the land, on how we end up with the land.
Since this is historic, the Art Deco, the Mays Hall, this is quite important. There was talk that you were just going to let this place crumble. Have you been taking active measures to maintain the building and its structure as you're required to do?
I'm sorry.
The Maze Hall, it's an Art Deco, it's quite a historical building. Have you been taking active measures to make sure that the building's sound and protected at this point, since 250?
I'm sorry.
No, Art Deco. No, the Art Deco Hall is a historic building. Has Howard University taken its fiduciary duty, because you own the building, you have trustees that run Howard, to make sure the building's intact and whole, and also Mr. Green? This is your responsibility, to make sure that that building is preserved.
So
Even,
you're recording that.
yeah,
You're recording
yeah, this is an open meeting, yeah.
You're recording that. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So,
I'm here with all the other residents who are not, present. I'm on 18th and Randolph,
so
yeah.
what we're doing is, again, we've hired a relevant team
Yeah.
to start looking at the site.
No, I'm saying, are you taking preactive measures to preserve the building so it remains whole? It's a historic site.
We are doing maintenance of the site and the building as issues come up, yes. So, for example, earlier this season,
Yeah.
we found that there was an intrusion, or attempts of intrusion into the Maze Hall.
Yeah.
The community actually told us about it. We got our development partners there, we brought some university people there, and we sort of cleaned up the potential access site. So yes, we're trying to do all we can based on where we are today to keep that site either mown down, as well as keeping secure of the building.
Like the boilers and everything else in the structure is being maintained as we speak?
It's still an active site, but the boilers and whatnot, all that's part of our maintenance plan. Are they operational today? No. But are we keeping active look at the site, the building, the facade, the ingress and egress? Yes, we are. All right. Sorry to jump in. But I just wanted to answer the
Q&A out of the way. These are great. Thank you. Great questions. Can we just get through this and then we'll get clarification for Q&A? I'm sorry?
That was a clarification on his last.
Okay, so we'll start questions. So let's talk about what we're about to do. And first off, again, great question. And I want to say that, naturally, we're here for all of that. We want all these questions, we want all these concerns, we want to make sure that we're addressing all of your concerns. I'm happy to speak to any of you guys offline. We can talk, and I just want to make sure we're answering and getting everybody kind of comfortable, understanding kind of what our goals are here. So, talking about phase 2. Okay, so now that we've kind of kicked the tires, what the site has, what's involved, now we're about to start the actual site planning process, which is largely where you guys, as external stakeholders, come in. Right, so one thing I want to also be clear about is this is a multi-month process. It doesn't happen overnight. Okay? Everybody's anxious to get information, right? But it's a process. It's going to take several months to complete, and will involve not only stakeholders from this group here, but there's a bunch of stakeholders involved, specifically internal Howard stakeholders. Right? Not everybody's going to be able to get what they want. Right? Everybody has every interest, and you can't be everything to everybody. One thing that we can promise is we're going to provide a vehicle to get feedback from everybody and to do what we can to integrate people's feedback into this redevelopment program consistent with the business plan of the university. Right? So again, we'll work with our master planning firm, and we have design collectors who will be administering our charade process with the community. Right? And throughout this process, we'll solicit stakeholder feedback. We'll talk about our website, which will be one of the critical ways in which individuals get active information and provide feedback on the process. So activities, right? So we have the master planning process. We have the regulatory engagement process. We talked about historic, right? There's planning. There's so many other groups that we're going to have to engage in this process, as well as community engagement, both external community as well as internal Howard University community. And timeline-wise, we're really thinking kind of 4 to 6 months, right? That's narrative, right? But again, master planning takes time. It takes getting a lot of feedback. It takes design process, right? Creativity, right? Administrative process. We have a university that has to approve a plan, so that takes time.
So we ask that everybody generally be patient, but know that we're hearing everyone. We're going to provide all the means that we can to get feedback from you guys. So we talk about the deliverables. We'll conceptualize and present, various redevelopment plans for university considerations based on all the feedback that we've gotten and also what the university is looking to accomplish. All right. We talked about multiple design strips. We'll talk about those in a second that we'll be organizing for the community. We'll get the opportunity to not just hear you guys, but also put some projects in front of you and get some feedback about. And then once we select the proposed plan, we'll have the opportunity to present to the community. So again, think not tomorrow, but it's going to take some months. It's going to take time. Okay? Let's talk about community engagement. So we're going to break our primary design charrettes. We're going to break our design charrettes. This isn't necessarily ANC5B02. Design charrettes, we're going to break them into 3 primary buckets. So the first one, go ahead and write this down. It's going to be proposed on February 5th. Okay? We'll call this the listen. So that design charrette will largely be about, again, listening. Right? Everything that you guys have raised tonight, our expectation is that you would be at that design charrette raising as well. Because that's the point in time when we'll be working with our master planning architect. Right? And getting that feedback and helping to leverage some of that feedback into initial design concepts. Right? So again, the goal of design charrette 1 is to present the goals of the project and create feedback mechanisms for stakeholders. So then a couple months after that, we want to come back to you with an idea, right? Based on the feedback of the community, based on the feedback of internal stakeholders. We want to come to you with an idea. We want to get feedback on that. It's like peeling an onion. Right? You don't just measure 1,000,000 times and cut once, you measure once and cut. So that's what we look to do kind of. So based on the feedback for the 2 big, large main threads, work with the university to figure out how we want to narrow this down, and then we'll come back and we'll present that. Okay? All of these will be announced by way of our website, as well as we'll be communicating it to the S&D commissioner to disseminate among stakeholders. Okay? And then our website, hueast.com. It actually may be live now, maybe. It's live now.
It's in the process of becoming live.
Yeah, right. So you guys can go check it out. Everything that I said tonight pretty much be on that website. And that will be where all the up-to-date information is, that will be where all the news is, right? The reports, cycle issue reports, again, we want to be transparent. There's a lot of contextual reports that are up there.
Right, I just wanted to mention that this PowerPoint will also be on there.
Correct.
So that I saw some neighbors trying to get up close and take notes from
Yep.
here, so it will be available to you.
Trust but verify.
When?
Never trust them.
Friday.
No, they always say that, and it's never there.
It usually takes 12 hours. We just launched it tonight, so it takes about 12 hours.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's been live since,
So our splash page is live.
Mm.
Correct.
hasn't been on there.
But now our full website's there.
Mm.
For the last 12 months, we've been saying the website's coming, the website's coming. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, I checked before it came.
All right.
Is it, you check it out, or
Yeah,
splash page, or?
but it's still,
Hmm.
I just saw the question.
All right.
Okay, well, check it for 12 hours.
I'll check it.
Okay.
Where's the flash? So we'll have our calendar, we'll be putting community meetings on our calendar. There's a bunch of different functions, a bunch of site history stuff, right? So highly recommend you guys check that out. Also, there's plenty of opportunity for feedback, right? Everything will go to us, so come to share any feedback that you have, whether it's something you want in the community or just an idea that you have, send it along.
Question, and maybe it's on the website, I have not been there, but in 2016,
Yep.
I realized it interviewed, and we don't remember that,
Yep.
all those people, like hundreds of people.
Yep.
Was there ever a question collection of data from that time that was finished?
Yeah, there was a report. It's always all there. The report is up there.
Presently on the website?
July reports are up there.
Pardon?
The July report.
Will be on the website.
It's on the website right now.
Thank you. Thank you, that's what I.
And they did do a presentation at and invited everyone to come out to see what those findings were.
Thank you.
So again, that's the website. It's robust. You may see a couple of tweaks here and there over time, but it's going to be a living website. Plan to leverage it heavily to get you guys as much information as possible about the site. So now, since everybody is raising hands, might as well just jump to the Q&A.
Here's my question. I appreciate having the information site.
Yeah.
And the question would it be you, Mr. Freeman? You also? Okay, beautiful. So why is this site being redeveloped? That's the basic. Why is it being redeveloped, and what is it being redeveloped to?
All right, I'll take that. So in terms of the why, our strong desire and intent is to move our academic program, the Divinity School, which was relocated from that site due to issues with the building, back into that building, and actually to build upon that, as was mentioned earlier in the presentation, and actually look to include our school's social work as well to build a synergy between those two programs that are very outward facing. So the reason why we're looking to develop the land surrounding that site is really to develop, to generate the cash, the capital that the university needs to renovate that building. And that's, I think, key to this effort. And I think directly answers your question. Was there a third part?
I think I said, okay, so why, and then we said, and what is it being developed
What is
to?
it being developed to? And that, as mentioned earlier, is the starting block that we're at today. So right now that we've completed all the due diligence, the geotechnical, the underground storage tanks, the tree canopy, topographic survey, title, etc. Now that we have all the information about the site, we can understand where the underground storage tanks are buried, so to speak. We can begin our planning process, which, as Fred mentioned, is going to take several months and will engage the community as well as the university stakeholders.
And I think just to piggyback on that, it's important to know, because we talked about this at the beginning, I know there's a lot of different interpretations or things that have been said about what the university's been doing. There is no plan in place today. Okay. That process starts now. And that process will be a very comprehensive process that will not only be shredding, getting community feedback as well as internal Howard University feedback. To answer your question of what is going to be there, the idea of what is going to be there, we will not know for the next number of months until the end of this process.
Okay, and one last
Outside
question.
of knowing that, I'm sorry, that the university's intention is to have the school divinity return as well as the school social work. One thing also to keep in mind is that this site is under an existing campus plan. The original campus plan that the school divinity, that allowed for the school divinity to be here. So there is an existing campus plan. All of that zoning documentation is on our website.
Yeah, hi. Peter Semler, hi. No.
So, do you know how much it will take to bring back the School of Divinity and the social work? So maybe we don't even have to go the real estate route, right? If we know how much would it take to bring back those schools? Because that's the point, right? Okay. Do you know how much?
So in order to move the schools back and to improve the facilities that they had so that they meet the standards the university has, is something that we have to understand and study given the context of the site. So particularly because we're looking at moving another academic program to that site and blending the two, we're not exactly sure what that's going to cost. But I think that in our deferred maintenance law, it was definitely in excess of $20 million what we were looking at on the head end to repair, remediate all the different issues that existed with Maysville. Just specifically, not speaking about the
20 million. That's it. That's it.
Not speaking about. That's just a.
That's not a lot.
That's a baseline. Well, if
But
you got.
I think you guys. And I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna turn it over. I might have it. Right? Don't sleep. But what I'm saying is that. Let's look at some alternative funding streams, and you all need to know the exact figure of this this so-called merging of the two schools
Yeah.
before you go into a talk like redevelopment. You need to have that clearly outlined, right?
If I could just expand Derek's
Mm-hmm.
concept. Let me rewind. When Dr. Freeman came on board as president of the university a little over 4 years ago, one of his strategies was to better the financial position of the university. We've been in the paper a lot about trial and tribulation.
Leasing real estate.
I'm not going to.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So one of his goals, among a number of things, was one, how do we increase tuitions for students if we could? We can't because we're trying to stay an affordable option to our students. Secondly, is to raise the philanthropic rates of our alumni. So that's the plan that's in place. Third is increasing research. And that's fourth is how do we take our real estate assets and monetize them in a way to do two things. One, to fulfill these institutional goals like renovating the maze for bringing the school social work to campus. However, we also are trying to develop capital to reinvest in the campus mission. So I just wanted to be direct and clear that the sole purpose of developing this campus, this asset, is not solely to do the renovations, but it's also to build capital reserves so we can reinvest in this site or in other sites for the two other campuses.
I'll talk to you later. I'm not going to dominate, but I will talk to you later because you need to think this through clearly.
Yeah, Peter Semler.
To be clear that it wasn't just solely for the buildings. It's for other purposes for our strategic mission.
Okay.
Tied to all of our
Okay. All right. I thank you for coming here and listening to us. I only pray to you to listen. We had a Ward 5 vote that we all voted at 90% against any development that's non-academic for this campus. I could talk to the majority of members of this one, 5B02, and adjoining property that we oppose any non-academic, i.e. the senior citizen home for profit being developed by Zoom. There are so many different alternatives. $20 million is a drop in the bucket. If you did Yale or Harvard, $200 million would be the minimum, and they'll give you a little lot. And now we have Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. We should be looking at this. We have Qatar, we have UAE, we're the nation's capital. We have the Franciscan monks, who I just came back from Israel and Jerusalem and Bethlehem and Marsaba. They protect that. They want to see this as a religious institution. We had voted overwhelmingly in official vote against any non-academic use. I can promise you if you have a vote and you need the vote, because that's why you're talking to us, we will vote it down. And now we have this in an official meeting. The residents, I live on the corner. Everybody who lives on it will oppose it, and we're not going to stand down. So let's find a academic use, and let's get rid of all this for-profit stuff, because we had enough of it, DC. We're losing our legacy. This is a historical building. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. was for economic development, economic opportunity, and that Divinity School should stand as it is, and we will help. We will come out. We'll get the Emir of Qatar who's interested, and the Crown Prince of thing. But we were forced down our throats on this thing from the Urban Land Institute, from a guy from Boston who has no representation here, and now we have Florida. Come on, we're DC. Let's be DC. Thank you.
I agree.
You agree? Everybody agree? Yeah. Shall we go for a vote?
I've lived around the corner since '80, and I almost walked that property or walked by it since I retired, more than 4.
I remember it too.
I am open to listening about, I'm very torn about this. One point, a lot of people have done a lot of work on it. I've never been to a meeting, and I think there are a lot of people like me, you know, that in the neighborhood. And I thought about reaching out to other neighbors and I need advice, but I do think that people that are well versed will appreciate it. And I think there's also new neighbors who don't know and care. So that's a point